Hello, and welcome to this interesting edition of Salima Speaks. You know, people think that since we have a black president, that we have no more racism. Yeah. Well, it seems that racism, to me, in my opinion, has gotten worse. It's almost like the others want for us to pay for electing a black president. The thing is, we really didn't elect him. Yeah. You know, a lot of white people voted for him, obviously, you know, and that's how he got in. So I have a panel of men and my co-host, Charles Gregory. Hey, Charles.
How you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you. And he's also my teacher. He works on my show. You know, he's a Salima person. Thank you.
I paid you to say that.
So we're gonna get the opinion of these five gentlemen and see how they feel about it, and see how they deal with race relations. And we'll start with Mr. Louis Sadler. I will tell you who he is because he's also my chef, and he's very good. We didn't get to eat his food yet, but we're going to. So, Louis, tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, thank you, Salima, for having me on this panel. I really appreciate it. I'm a person that I do a playwright that's already registered. I also am a chef. I wrote a cookbook, and they also did a clothing line and everything else. I guess it depends on the show as far as well as you receive me.
Thank you.
Hello, how you doing, Salima? Thank you for having me on the panel on this show, and I really appreciate being here.
Thank you.
My name is Lamont Anderson, a.k.a. Monty G, Philly's #1 entertainer and hype man for the Eagles, the Phillies, and the Sixers, and I'm just here doing what I do, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm going to deal with the topic.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andre, and I'm a personal trainer.
Thank you.
My name is Lawrence Simpson. I work at St. Joe's Hospital in the Environmental Service Department as well as patient transport.
Thank you.
My name is Marcel Alton. I have talent in writing and acting.
And I would just have to say, these guys actually didn't even know they were going to be on my show. You know, we had some glitches and my other panel didn't show. So I told these guys, who was supposed to be in the audience, come on guys, you're going to be on the show. So I thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
And the thing is, you know, the reason I wanted to talk to black men is because you guys are the ones that go through it, you know. And let me ask you, Louis, have you ever been a victim of racism?
Plenty of times, more than I can imagine.
And so, you know, they think because, you know, you're light skinned, and because I have the same problem, that we don't go through racism, but we do. We sometimes go through it even more because we have it from others and we have it from our own people.
That's true. I mean, it doesn't matter what complexion, your pigmentation, whatever you want to say, your melatonin. But what happens is they see you as basically a person of color, and they take you and put you in a bunch.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're from the United States, if you're from the Caribbean, if you're from the continent of Africa. It doesn't matter where you're from. And that's how they look at us. And it doesn't matter what language you speak. In fact, some people think that some people from Africa are actually from Jamaica.
Right.
And that's for their ignorance and lack of understanding different circumstances of people.
Right. So how about you, Charles? And you know, you're so diverse and you do so many things also. And I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think that race relations have gotten better or worse? Have they stayed the same?
Oh, that's an interesting question. you know what? I think that it's just a little different than, you know, it's not as blatant as it was, you know, the whole white and black thing, you know. I think now it's more institutional. You know, I think it's systemic. You know, I think, you know, it's certain ways that they can, you know, really point us out and, you know, stereotype, right? To say that to show more racism than how it used to be. You know, you can't go here because you're black, but it's more so like, you know, just kind of innuendo.
Right.
But you know, it's blatant racism. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Mr. Monty G.
Well, you know, it's the same way y'all talking about it as color and everything, but you know, basically I feel as though I go through that with my weight. A whole lot of people don't accept me because I'm big and the things that I want to do and would love to do, but it's like they don't give me that chance and opportunity because they say I'm too heavy and they judge me instead of what I do and the talents that I have, and people tend to look at me and just say, I mean, he's nice, he's good, he's funny, this and that, but at the same time, it's like he's too big.
Wow.
And we don't want to really do nothing with them because, you know, they judge me, don't know who I am or how I am or how I live, but they just think because me being big, I'm gonna have problems or nobody's interested in me.
So you go through it doubly with your weight
Yeah, so I
and
go
because
through
you're
the weight
black.
and with the color and things, and just people thinking, then also being entertaining and a rapper, they think rappers are all cussing and bad, and but you know, knowledge that we have and all the hip hop things is all, sometimes people can be clean and positive, but people just tend to judge us and think that we're just out there to get paid and talk about girls and cars and.
So you do positive rap?
Yes, everything.
Well,
I do
we
is
have to
positive.
have you back on doing something. The brother in the back,
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Racism, me myself, I experience it not because I'm black. I think a lot of times I experience it because of my faith.
And what is your faith?
I'm Muslim.
Oh, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, but it's not. And what happens a lot of times is people, everything that goes on overseas, they think that either we're a part of it or we can relate to it. Or a lot of times, if they don't know, they ask the most ignorant questions, the more so they go study themselves or learn something. So
Can you
like,
talk into the mic, please?
Yeah, so they have a lot of questions and they really don't know the answers. So anything that happens on TV, I walk into the job, I can answer questions, or just it'd be like the silliest stuff.
Right.
So it's like a stereotype. Or a lot of times I go to work sometime in the morning. 2 weeks ago to work, a cop stopped me, something was going over in the projects, and he pulled me over just like I had my ID because he was going to, you know, take me in for whatever.
Wow.
Because of the beard, you know, it's like the beard. It's like then if you wear your, you know, your throat. It's just like all of the different things, and they just put everybody together when really if they knew the whole deal. We don't associate with that, and we're not part of that.
Exactly.
A lot of stuff is brought on by the government, putting their hands on, you know, get involved with things that you get involved in, piggyback, and the issue getting stuff. So they really don't know.
Right. Andre?
Well, I mean, every black man in America, probably every black woman in America has experienced racism at one time or another. But I honestly believe that race relations are better now than they were before. I mean, in 2008, Barack Obama won North Carolina. We're talking NASCAR country, okay?
Right.
And he won it by 7-8 percentage points. So I don't think that we're regressing in any way, but I think that from a standpoint of the application of racism is different because I'm from the Deep South where it tended, if you were going to experience racism, it was overt. Here, it's more covert.
Right.
Okay. And honestly, I'd rather have an honest enemy than a false friend.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Wow.
Well, in my opinion, I think that in my opinion, I feel that no matter where you go, what your race are, religion, how young or old you are, racism to this day exists. I remember when I was a teenager, I thought it was over, but people told me it still exists, and then I even believed it even more when I be on the internet and I see YouTube videos of like black people like beating up and jumping other people, and some of these people are good people. This like their mindset's not right, but if you read the comments, you'll say all these racist comments. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
You can say anything you want to Salima speaks.
I'm allowed to say it. I remember when I watched a YouTube video. These black 10-year-old kids was like pulling out fake guns on people on the streets of Philadelphia. And then somebody on YouTube said, "Look at these black little nigger kids pulling out guns."
And you know,
they should get the death penalty for that. That's
and you know what? The thing is, a lot of people, because I was in a conversation with an elderly lady the other day, and she was saying, well, what about black on black crime? And I have a lot of people come up to me like that, with my white friends also. What about black on black crime? Well, let me tell you about black on black crime. First of all, the police officers, and that's what we're talking about. We get upset when police officers do something, but black people are killing black people every day. The police officers chose to protect and serve. They're trained to do their job.
They took an oath.
Okay, exactly. And these little guys in the street killing each other, they didn't take any kind of oath. They were not trained in weaponry. You know, so it's a big difference. Of course, that's something that we need to deal with, the black on black crime, but we can't say that we should march because black people are killing black people, and we march because cops are killing black people, because the cops were supposed to be here to protect and serve all people.
Right. I think that's the epitome of what racism and power is being in a position of power and abusing that authority and power. You know, if you want to talk about you know, the youth or just, you know, us as a people that's in the street, quote unquote, killing our people, we're on the same playing field, right? We're in the same backyards. We talk to each other. We get upset. We kill each other, whatever. That's how they say. That's how they see it. But when you talk about, you know, police officer, people that's sworn in to protect and serve, it's kind of like, I have no way to prevent you from shooting me if you want to.
Exactly.
If you have a bad day,
Right.
you can shoot me dead in the street and get away with it.
And see, that's the thing also. Like I saw the other day where this guy, I don't know if you guys saw it, but this guy, a cop stopped a guy in a gas station, and he asked him for his license, and the guy turned around to get his license, and the cop started shooting him. Okay, and then he backed with his arms up, and the guy shot him two more times. Okay, and yeah, you saw that? And the thing is, now, we didn't march about that because they took care of that. The cop got in trouble, he's in jail now, and that was justice because he should not have done that. Actually, he shouldn't even have had a gun.
So what about the incident with the guy in prison?
I didn't hear about that.
They beat up the guard beat up the guy in prison. I mean, he was handcuffed, hand behind his back, and the security guard, the CO just beat him and punched him, and they showed him. I mean, he hit him at least 20 times, and the rest of the COs and everybody was standing around watching. And they tried to back up that CO, but I mean, he was totally handcuffed in the headlock, and they beat him up. And
wow. Well, now somebody got that on film?
It's on film. They
Really?
and everything, but they trying to say like, what did he do to the COs?
Okay.
And they trying to make it, again, backing up the COs and everything and making the prisoner look like it was all his fault. But his lawyer and everything wants to sue and want to press charges against that CO, but they trying to say that inmate spit on him and did all the wrong to him. That's why he did that, but there's still no reason for him to do that while he's handcuffed.
Exactly.
His hands behind his back, for him to hit him amount of times that he did and to beat him up and do like he did.
And you know that rage comes out, that hatred comes out, and I think that's what happened. You know, with police officers, once they start shooting, that rage comes out. So they just overkill.
It is overkill. And you know what? I don't even want to, you know, point the fingers or just say that all cops are bad, right?
My dad was a cop.
That's what I'm saying.
So
you know, my sister's a cop. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say that all white people are bad.
Exactly.
You know?
Some of my best friends are white.
Absolutely. But I think for me, what I do hold cops accountable for, or all white people accountable for, is don't just turn your head. Though.
Exactly.
If you want to claim that you are not racist, or you want to say that you're different, then stand up and talk about it. If you see something wrong, say something about it. Don't just turn your head. If it's wrong, it's wrong. The first thing they'll tell you is, you know, if something happened in the hood, you know, the whole don't snitch thing, right? Cops say, no, you're crazy. You need to say what the problem is. Okay. So when you kill somebody, or when you rob people, when you do things that's underhanded, then you supposed to snitch also. That doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Well,
they have a code of love.
Can I jump in here with this? It's three things I just want to mention. Okay, first of all, as an entertainer that was interviewed, and he said he had Caucasian friends, and he said that before Obama was elected, did you have a problem with referring to people of color in a derogatory fashion? And the guy said, yeah, he had a problem. And he said, after Obama was elected, did you have a problem with him? He said, no. He said, because he didn't have any fear of retaliation on a legal standpoint, or like say at a workplace, because they push it on. They know he's going to leave office. So, you know, and you also have to understand that we all know this, that no matter what you do and how much money you have, you can always be on the list. Okay, you can be someone who has a lot of money, a lot of prestige. You might have, say, 99 white people who are accepting you, and you have things that they accept you for, and then you have that one person, for whatever reason it is, whatever their personal thing is, they don't accept you, and so you stay on the list because of that one person. And you have to understand that that is the circumstances. And as we talked before, we all have to just adapt to that. That's the one thing, and either you're going to adapt or you're not going to adapt. Now, whether we're going to have a Republican president coming in, or we're going to have a Democratic president coming in, to a lot of people who are basically paycheck to paycheck. You know, the Republican and Democrat is just a matter of what type of initial bills for health coverage and housing and taxes. But other than that, day to day, we have to live.
Exactly.
So the police, and you said you were from down south originally. I went down there a number of times. I traveled.
Okay, I'm going to cut you short for a minute. I want to hear from somebody else. You have the mic. Have you ever been like a victim of racism? And do you believe in, like, is there a such thing as driving while black?
Well,
Do you believe that?
Well, even though I'm not was a victim of racism, I do personally admit that if I was, I mean, it's not the first time I heard a white person ever use the N-word around me. And it's not going to be the last time. I do believe on the whole black, on driving my black. I do have like some opinions about the police, and I think that I'm going to use some example if you don't mind.
Okay.
I remember where I seen, it was on Facebook, somebody posted a video of tanks and armored military tanks coming through Ferguson after that white cop shot the black kid.
Right.
And then while I was watching CNN, it is like militarized police with just like pepper spraying and macing black people in the face, knocking them down, hitting them with billy clubs and everything.
Right.
So, and it's my opinion is that, and it's, I mean, there's a jump off subject. And another thing, and it's like people talking about Obama running for the third time as president. And if somebody told me that if that ever happened, then some people predict that it'll be some sort of race war.
Wow. Andre, and how do you feel about that? Do you feel that, and you did say that you were from down south, so I can understand you probably dealt with a lot of racism then. But you said you think that things have gotten better?
Things have gotten significantly better, and I really didn't experience a bunch of racism growing up. I mean, I remember when they integrated the schools finally in my hometown. I think I was like in the 4th grade.
And what's your hometown?
Monticello, Florida. It's a little town in the Florida Panhandle, right on the Florida-Georgia state line. But I grew up with white kids. A lot of black kids up here don't.
Okay,
It's
exactly.
far more segregated
Exactly.
up here than it is in the Deep South.
Right.
Okay, far more. But I want to allude back to what you were talking about as far as the police having taken an oath and the youth on the streets running amok having not taken a youth. That doesn't morally absolve you of harming somebody within your race.
Oh no, no, I didn't say they did. I'm
okay.
just saying that when people ask me, you know, what's the difference? There is a difference because those guys did not take an oath to serve and protect. I'm not saying they should be absolved of any problems or whatever, but what I'm saying is that they were not trained. They did not say they were going to protect and serve.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I can agree with that, but my contention is basically this. If I die at the hands violently of a white policeman or some black kid in the hood who was shooting at someone and just caught me by mistake, am I any less dead?
No, you're still dead. Exactly.
Still dead,
I mean, so I don't want to go there. My thing is, a lot of what's wrong with us is kind of self-inflicted, and I'm not going to be one of these, I'm going to blame it all on the white man.
Oh
I'm
no,
not absolving
not at all.
the historical wrongs that have been done to our people.
Right.
You know, but at a certain point, you have to come to the realization that, you know, we better accept ourselves. This pipe dream of ever being totally embraced by white America is some ephemeral utopian garbage.
Okay.
I'm not concerned about being accepted by white America, Asian America. I just want to be accepted by my own.
Wow.
I'm good
okay.
with that.
Thank you,
And,
brother.
you know, I think he hit on a couple interesting points, but I think you know, we do have to embrace ourselves first.
Right,
And I think that's a reality. However, I think a lot of the problem is some of the points that he made, that we as a people, we're so easy to forget about what they, and when I say they, I say when we talk about racism again, what they did, but we're so easily ready to point the finger back at us.
Right.
And the reality of it all is that we encounter certain things every day, right? But when we don't have control over people who are supposed to protect and serve us, that's a problem. It's no excuse for it. You can't say after a cop kills someone, say, especially a white cop kills a young black man, and say, okay, well, we kill ourselves all the time. We totally just took off the onus of what he did and then put it back on our people. And we don't take the fact, or we don't go for that person, that cop, and really have him own that situation with what he did. And that's a problem that we always encounter with our own people. Something happened outside of our race. Right. We say, okay, well, our race do certain things. No, let's address the issue first that they did, and then we can talk about it.
But you know what the problem is?
Yeah.
It starts like this. Before something comes to a head, it has to boil.
Yeah,
okay.
That's
now,
true.
Before people can let go, they got to see the damage.
Yeah.
Ground zero.
Right.
We have to investigate what that damage has done. And what the damage has done was, when we go back and we look at the nucleus of what all this comes down to,
right.
We have people who are angry and don't know why they're angry, because a lot of people aren't educated as to what's going on in society and finance and everything. But as we talk about one thing, and I'm going to leave that alone,
right.
We talk about the slavery of the people from Africa into the United States as we know it.
That's right.
The people came over here, and it was the worst form that they ever had. And through history, all societies had a form of slavery.
Right.
We're not going to say that they didn't.
Absolutely.
But what the thing was, the key point is this, that they did not take the people's culture away from them.
Right.
They did not take their dignity away from them. They allowed them to even stay in their groups and also educate themselves, but also understand, we run this.
Yeah.
Now, you can speak your language, sing your songs, but we run this.
Yeah.
And what the people over here, what they did was, they took the identity, took their religion, said join this. Okay, by doing so, you want to be accepted, stay alive for whatever reason, not to be separated from your family, play down your accomplishments so they don't separate you, whatever. What they did was, now they changed the rules.
Right.
They keep changing the rules. Once you think that you're accepted, they're like, well, you're not qualified, so you bust your butt and you try to do what you need to do. Then, oh, you know what? You overqualified. Okay, well then you try to find a medium. Then they can continue. You know what else? We still know in your heart you believe in this stuff. So you still are not involved. That's that list. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
Now also, you could talk about people who even now say, you know what? That wasn't me. That wasn't my family. Look, my family was part of the Underground Railroad. Blah, blah, blah. Now I ask you to ask one Caucasian person this. That's any of them. Do you think that because of the people who were slaves who actually built the country, it was no secret that you didn't benefit from it by you being of a European persuasion?
Of course.
Now, even if they might be living paycheck to paycheck now, they weren't slaves. They didn't have their freedom taken away from them unless they broke the law. And that's sometimes. Because back then, the laws was still one-sided. So you have to understand that the problem that we have is people are not being educated, and then you have to look at the sources of the education. In a place like Philadelphia, a couple of Chicago, Detroit, they shut down schools. But then when they educate them, they take it to a certain point, and then they say, well, you know what? We're not going to tell you to look it up, but they're not giving you the key sources to look it up. So you have to have people who are willing to say, look, this is the deal. Now, you can't harbor that, because negative energy leads to mental and physical illness. So, and then also raising your children, as we've seen pictures of people with clans, and they had little babies with the outfits on, they bred right in it. Right, women too. But you have to have a system where people are educated. Now, what they do with that education?
Let me interrupt you again, because you go on. I have five people here, Lewis. You're good, and you make some really good points.
About, like we said again with the racism. When my son got killed 5 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
that. And they caught the killers that same night. Two black cops caught the killers and everything. I was thankful and I was so blessed that 17 district cops caught them. But in the neighborhood in South Philly, that happened. And when they caught the killers, it was great. Everybody in the community felt great, and they felt like we was loved and everything else. But in that same area, a white kid got killed, And they started doing the racial thing again. How come nobody found the killers of my son and everything else? And because he's black and he's Monty G and he's doing everything that they found his son's killer, and they looked for him and they did this and they found him and they did all that. They went all out for him. But my son got killed and nobody worried about nothing. They still looking for him. I think they're not even trying to help us. And what's going on with that? Because he's black, he's a celebrity or something, and why is all that going down? And it was like, I felt so bad, and I was like, and the cops and everything, and we had the meetings in the community march and everything, and we told them it wasn't nothing like that. It wasn't no racial thing. It wasn't because of who I am. It's just because they did what they did, and they got caught at the right time because the officers happened to be in the vicinity, and they got them. But it was nothing prejudice or nothing because of me that they did that, and they caught the killers, and they didn't find the white people's killers for her son. And I felt so bad, and I felt like, I really felt some kind of way about her coming at me and being mad at me and looking at me and thinking I'm nobody because they caught my son's killer and they didn't find her son's killer.
And let me ask you, how old was your son?
He was 21.
21. What happened?
Jealousy. My son played basketball, and it was just like that movie Above the Rim with Tupac in it. And he went down North Philadelphia, and he beat the #1 basketball player down there and the #1 team. And my son, he did his job. He played ball. He dunked on a guy. They won. But his friends and everybody, they bragged and they talked about South Philly came down here. We came correct. We did our thing. We represented. We did it. We took all y'all out of here and all that stuff. And my son didn't do anything but play his game, and he came home. We came home. We went to the buffet. I dropped him off. I went home for a minute. That's when Obama was in. We listened to his speech, and then I get a phone call telling me my son was just shot 17 times in the neck.
17 times?
Yeah, I get there and it's like, I see all these numbers on the ground. I'm like, all these bullets for my son?
Wow.
And it's like, they totally did that. He was sitting in front of the door. It wasn't doing nothing, sitting in front of the door. They came up in the car. They were looking for my nephew and everyone else that was at the game talking stuff about it. But my nephew, nobody was there. So they said, the guy, the one they caught, he said in court. And his mother said it. The driver and the guy said, we got to get somebody. They were looking for my nephew or whatever. He wasn't there. So the driver said, we got to get somebody. So they shot up my son.
Wow. Now, in court, did they show any remorse about it?
The one guy who was young following the driver, and it was 3 of them. And it was 2 of them. They caught 2 of them, just like he said with the snitching. They didn't want to tell the boy mom in court hollering, tell him who it was, who was the driver, who was the other person. He can't tell, he couldn't tell.
Wow.
But a year later, we went back to court, that driver got killed in another incident, and then they couldn't get the plea deal and everything, so they gave him 60 years in jail and everything for killing my son. Okay. But it was just about jealousy and my son having a great basketball game, and they just took my son away from me.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Karma.
Yeah, right. Andre, you had something to say?
You know what, though? I keep thinking back to Barack Obama, and honestly, if you know anything about the history of the presidency, okay, which is why I'm not going with I think things are better, because with the exception of Jimmy Carter, there has never been someone elected president whose resume was as thin as Barack Obama's. He literally inherited a U.S. Senate seat when Jack Ryan had to withdraw because of Jerry Ryan saying in her divorce petition that he took her to wife swapping parties. They import Alan Keyes from Maryland, who was estranged from his own daughter because of lesbianism. So basically, he didn't even have to compete. Right. He goes to the convention, he's the keynote speaker, and he aced the exam.
Yeah, when he gave that speech, I did say he's going to be our first black president, and I was right.
I was watching I was living on Green Street. I was watching this with a 60-plus-year-old Polish Catholic, super conservative Fox News channel watching guy.
Wow.
Okay.
And this white man told me in 2004 that if Barack Obama stays away from the lunatic fringe of the left within the Democratic Party, that I was looking at the first black president.
Right.
And it saddened me that he did not live to see it.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So I think we've gotten better. But it could, to me, let's face it, our people came over here for manual labor.
Right.
All right. So it's not the white man's responsibility to navigate our path, okay? I look at integration, in many ways, it hurt us.
Right.
Because what you had was a mass exodus of the black middle class.
Okay, and I'm
leaving
sorry,
black
I'm going to have to
neighborhoods.
interrupt you because our time is up. I mean, time goes so fast,
does.
Charles, right?
Yes, it
Because you
does.
know, I mean, when you're
That's just
doing the
beautiful show you have here.
Yes.
Oh,
I just
thank
want to
you.
compliment you on those boots.
I know.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for coming on my show. You know, maybe we'll have you guys back.
Thank you.
We thank you. It was a great show, and the topics, I mean, you really got right into it.
Thank you. And thank you guys for tuning in to Salima Speaks. And remember, love yourself, love others, and don't forget to stretch. Right, Andre? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Alrighty.